MaJaMa Jams is brought to you by I think the acid's kicking in.
Decks of cards have been created as a method of divination, a tool for astrologers. Two suits, red and black, like day and night. 52 cards, like the weeks in 1 year. 4 suits as the 4 seasons. 13 cards per suit, just like the lunar cycles per year. If you add all the points per card, you'll get 365. So we decided to use a deck of cards to select the movie we're going to talk about tonight, and we picked what is undoubtedly everyone's favorite. It is
For heaven's sake, don't play the Queen of Spades. She's unlucky.
The evil omen of one card, the Queen of Spades.
all right, never mind, we picked a second time, and we're going with this one instead. Happy?
MaJaMa. MaJaMa. MaJaMa.
Welcome back, everyone, to MaJaMa Jams, a show where we discuss other people's work to avoid doing our own. And in discussing other people's work to avoid doing our own, it is a GD honor and a blessing that I get to sit here with my brothers and discuss movies. And I can tell you guys, I don't know if I've ever been as excited to dive into a movie as I am today. Now, back in 2019, the world was rocked by a reimagining of one of, if not the most famous comic book villain of all time, when Todd Phillips, known for horn dog boner comedies in the early 2000s, took on DC Comics' Joker, stomping all the way to $1 billion worldwide box office, a ton of Oscar nominations, an Oscar win for Mr. Joaquin Phoenix for his soulful, tormented performance as the Joker. And then one would imagine after that, Warner Brothers was so peachy keen pleased that they said, Todd, why don't you make a sequel and do whatever you want? And they will probably, maybe, be regretting that for the rest of their lives, but possibly only financially. Because what Mr. Phillips did is he brought in Lady Gaga. He gave it a pretentious but probably appropriate title, we'll discuss it, of Folie à Deux, which I believe means the madness in me is reflected the madness in you, I think, something like that. Again, we'll get into how that ties in. And if you guys were around in late 2024 to see this, holy cow. Still going. Still going. This had opening weekend projections that were way bigger, and they started tumbling beforehand. And then I am both a Rotten Tomatoes and Box Office Mojo geek, the most insufferable kind, on them incessantly. I'll talk your ear off about them. And I started seeing those opening weekend predictions tumble and 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 tumble. It was the first time I've ever seen over the course of a 3-day weekend them tumble more and more consistently every day, until it got down to, I think it was the low 30s. You don't know what it's like. Also, surprisingly, being the Rotten Tomatoes geek, usually movies are split one way or another, audience and critics. This has a piddling, middling, tepid 31% for both audience and critics. It is safe to say that Joker 2 took it in its clown paint smeared anus. But in the aftermath, a couple voices spoke up. None less than Mr. Quentin Tarantino, and of course John Waters spoke up and said, hey, I think this is actually a pretty great movie. I see what's going on here. I think there's themes to it. But for the most part, audience reception was rabidly hateful.
All we had was the fantasy, and you gave up.
And culminating in recently, it was nominated for 7 Razzie Awards at the upcoming Razzies, the antithesis of the Oscars, which I think are unfounded. We're going to get into it. Full disclosure, I saw this twice before. I was one of the 5 people in America who caught this in the theater. I saw it in IMAX. Today is his first viewing. And I have not heard their opinions yet. We kept it fresh so we can do it here on camera. And we are kicking off a cultural discussion about one of the most hotly debated movies in recent months, years, decades. Joker, Folie, Deux. So guys, do you want me to give a little bit of breakdown? Do you want to just jump in? Do you want to see what's lurking behind Matthew's steely eyes where he's probably tired as hell and he's like, oh my God, you made me watch this 2.5 hour thing? Is Mateo actually going to see the art in it? How do we start here, gentlemen? I'm revved up.
Me too, but you know, I'm really wired.
And you probably have never hated my voice more.
I guess that's true.
All right, look. I'm going to start with this. They always get on me for not doing plot, but I'm just, so we can do an encapsulation, then we'll start to get into our feelings. But what did you gentlemen think of Folie et Deux?
It was good. I just hated the experience of watching it, but it was definitely a good movie, and the hate is completely unfounded.
Okay, interesting. I actually didn't expect that, Mr. Mateo.
Yeah, it's depressing as hell, and it's like Blair Witch 2 to the first Blair Witch. It's a completely 180, or not even that. It's not on the same plan. It's just like it's a completely different experience. So I completely understand why people were dumbfounded by it, because if memory serves, it denies the ending on the first one.
It was talked about as kind of denying everything of the first one.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what I would imagine to be the intent.
What happens at the end of the first one?
Have you not seen it?
I've seen it.
Oh, just that
You never remember anything. You got to me the one time I forget something?
He rises up on the top of the cop car, does the Joker, does the iconic smear, that rioting around him. He blew out Murray Franklin's brains on live television.
No, yeah, I know. What does this one undo about that?
Well, I heard incessantly about this. It undoes basically everything about the first one. They say it's gunning. It's contemptuous of the audience, people who like the first one.
Okay, yeah.
As to your statement showing that you agree
I
with...
thought you meant it rewrites how it...
Oh, no.
No.
The literal events of the...
I think this movie's biggest sin, as to Matthew, who agrees with me that this hate is unfounded, I think this movie's biggest sin is that it took an A24 movie pitched to a hungry Zack Snyder crowd, if you catch my metaphor.
Not exactly, because the same crowd is going to go see Marvel or Justice League is gonna understand Joker, seeing the first one as something different. So they're not obviously going there for a superhero film. But if you go there to see Joker and you compare this to the second one, which is a kind of a claustrophobic musical courthouse drama, it's just like, oh, okay, it's a completely different thing. I wouldn't, but I don't think I could compare it that same way where anyone was going to this movie expecting any sort of superhero Zack Snyder type film.
To be fair, well, here's a reason why I say that. One,
singular sensation.
Clearly, the first one, which interestingly enough, I kind of waffled on between this is awesome and says something, and this is kind of stupid and shallow and it doesn't make the point I thought it was, which I gave credit for because I've never kind of metronome between like, this is dumb, this is cool, this has something to say, this is shallow. But here's something to that point. Now, I know a movie nerd like me stays tuned to everything, but this was announced like a year before this is going to be a musical and Lady Gaga was cast. That was said quite often. Then Scott Silver's the co-writer. Todd Phillips started saying beforehand, hey, it's not really a musical. I don't know if he was nervous about what was going to happen, but a lot of people, I heard feedback, it was a musical?
Doesn't get any more real than that.
So I'm like, okay, I can't expect the garden variety person that doesn't go to the movies that often to stay abreast of movie news like I do, but I think a lot of people being like it wasn't a musical.
You
like,
think
dude,
you might want to put that in your trailer?
Yes, that was a very horrible move by...
Like,
I know, to me that was out there. To me, that was out there.
Maybe as information, but
Yeah.
in terms
Well-
of the mainstream, like you said, the mainstream audience is just going to see a trailer
Well,
and go see the movie. They're not
here's
going
the
to have
thing.
any idea.
I don't think you get to $1 billion and Oscar noms without. And the first movie gives you enough of the Joker we love. He gets on the face paint, he's ultra violent. It does still kind of try to, say something about it, and it deviates from classic, just like a Heath Ledger Joker.
Why so serious?
But I still think that the A24ing to a non-A24 audience is the reason for the whiplash response. If this had come out as an A24, look, also some people say if you take away the name Joker, it's not a bad movie. I'm actually going to argue that that's not the case either, but I still think that this is an A24 type movie which regularly alienates.
But you could say the same thing about the first Joker movie. I don't know why you would not say these are any different. The first one has A24 vibes, taking a comic movie and giving it that sort of.
I think the first one was more
indie thematic
relentlessly pummeled for aping 70s Scorsese, most notably Taxi Driver. Heard that over and over and over and over again.
The biggest influence on part one was a time of when movies were made, of course.
Sure.
You know, yes, clearly there are movies made by Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, that clearly show up in the DNA of the first film. But it was really the 70s in general, filmmaking in the 70s. There's a lot of Network in it. There's Serpico in my mind in it. There's Dog Day Afternoon in it. All those movies that I grew up loving find their way into this. In this one, again, it's not a specific film, but it's a different time.
Sure.
I still think
stylistically though, but
I still think the massive.
It reminded me more of Leaving Las Vegas.
Still need to see that.
Aha!
Here it's an amazing performance by Cage.
Yes.
I still think the massive response is because of that. We could move those terms if you want. If you want to switch A24 and Zack Snyder to what it is, but I think Joker in general is going to attract a lot of dudes that go to Walmart to buy a shirt with Joker and Harley on it and go to about 3 movies a year, and they're going to show up to something that a pretentious windbag like me is going to stroke himself off to, and they're going to be frothing at the mouth that they got some piece of alienating art when they wanted to go to one of their most beloved DC villains of all time.
There is no Joker. It's just me.
We now return to
MaJaMa.
So, you want me to call you Arthur or the Joker?
Mr. Myers, you know we have an agreement. You can't call him Joker. It's Arthur. Arthur Fleck.
You are correct that the first one skewed a little bit. I still think that's the reason for the massive hate. I will say, as to you saying it doesn't deserve it and it's a good movie, I'm very shocked that the critic reviews, as I said, were this low.
Yeah.
There's a lot of A24-esque, slow burn, elevated horror movies, most recently Presence from Steven Soderbergh. Almost, I think, high 80s, 90s on the critical, and then like a 50% splat in the audience because it moves too damn slow, because it's elevated, because it's artsy-fartsy. I'm very surprised that didn't happen more here.
That's really good.
But I have been burning up these microphones with my voice. So I want to get you guys more in the conversation. I was fascinated by your thing that it was good. You were just kind of bored.
I have. I'm out for the rest of the hour.
Do you agree also that it was not necessarily bad and kind of undeserved and just understood, or what's your take on that as far as the goodness of the movie?
It's the usual problem with sequels. You want the same thing but different, and you can't please everybody. Now here they took a very drastic decision. Is more drastic than Gremlins and Gremlins 2, for instance, which are two completely different movies.
Yes, it is.
And Gremlins 2, at the end, becomes a musical.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
And is also awesome.
Yes. It's very strange because it's a very bleak movie in general. There is not a ray of joy anywhere. So, which I understand. I mean, knowing the first Joker, you say, okay, I kind of know what to expect. I found the songs a little bit on the nose. In certain circumstances, but mostly it seems, at least to me, I didn't see. There's nothing that justifies its existence. It doesn't add anything to the first movie except for the ending of this one. It's just like you see him in jail, and then you see a trial where they're recapping the first movie, and then he's back in jail. And so
I'll disagree with you in terms of him switching at the end, but yes, first hour and a half seemed almost completely unnecessary. But the idea of kind of revealing, and also like I think you're saying, directly responding to the fan base of Joker 1 and everyone who was riled up by it.
That's also the thing, is that it didn't happen, and hilariously, Mateo, you might remember what movie it was, but when there was all that buzz of, we have to worry ourselves about the great incel uprising of 2019 in Joker theaters, and then there was some kids movie where someone pulled out a machete, famously. I forget what that story was, but that was hilarious. But I think part of we're in trouble because of the response to this is part of what is pointed at. Now, full disclosure, if you guys don't know about me, the fame cancer, as I call it, the sensationalistic personas, the swapping of personas, the Jekyll and hiding of putting a mask, metaphorical or not, on, is something that I've pretty much unofficially dedicated my life to. It's an ongoing graduate lifetime thesis. And my failed novel, which I spent so much time on, is kind of this. I don't know if you picked up on that, Matthew, but a lot of this is Hollywood High School, the novel I attempted to write. Especially, my main motivation was, what if someone like me, some bitch-ass little suburban kid, got himself into a cult leader situation and then couldn't even relish it because he was terrified when Joker's like, I need to get the hell out of this car with these 3 goons in clown paint that are acting like a savior. That really reminded me of it. So in fairness, this is kind of red meat to me because, you know, like the Charlie Manson phenomenon, like, oh my God, he's a culty guy that inspired murders. Also, can we get him on Phil Donahue about 6 times this month because the ratings are amazing? We're all frothing out the mouth to watch him. I do feel like, and it should be noted that what you said, Mateo, is almost across the board. Again, critics and fans alike seem to be unanimous here. Why does this exist? You echoed them perfectly. With my viewpoint of that, I feel like this is actually a beautiful exploration of sensationalistic personas, which of course is something that still goes on today. Luigi Mangione might as well be Joker because it's commenting on the fact that commenting on the fact and critiquing why do these type of people get these responses. I will say the best way to view the movie is by seeing Arthur as someone who is not the Joker, who is genuinely heartbroken and shy, desperate for actual love, thinks he finds it in Lee, but really she's just 100% wants the persona, wants the fantasy, wants the clown paint, wants the sensationalism, wants the cameras. And I think it's very heartbreaking when you see that this guy really isn't him. Again, I know if you show up for Joker, I'm just hammering the nail in the coffin more and more, but I feel like he really isn't him, and the whole movie is how he can only get love if he puts on the clown paint, if he is the Joker, and how desperately devastated he is when he realizes that without that, she doesn't want me, nor does anyone else.
I don't want to sing anymore.
Viewed through that lens, I think that's when it's at its most effective.
So I think that's a cool enough flip on its head. It's in paralleling maybe the effect of the first Joker, but it does seem unnecessarily long and stretched out where you don't get that much nuances or dissection of it, where it's just like, okay, that's a cool idea to kind of reveal that and kind of dig into the Arthur character, but you don't get too, I don't know, you don't get it spread out evenly throughout the film, and it just seems
that was the kind of like the biggest problem with Godzilla, that there is no Godzilla. Or something. It makes you just like there are movies that are slow burn. Carrie by Brian De Palma is a slow burn, and you are with it throughout. Here, I don't say that I was bored because I was not, but there is so much nothingness that is happening.
And stylish. It looks
for instance,
but yes.
One of the things that definitely I found it mesmerizing, and I'm absolutely sure that the vast majority of people don't even realize it, but there is an amazing wonder from when he leaves the tribunal after the explosion, that they grab him, they put in the car, they go and everything, they're down in traffic, they meet the fire. Is one take. is one continuous take. There are no cuts.
It's interesting how after all this time my brain still goes. I did not realize that. I still just get lost with the movie.
That would be the only reason why I would rewatch this movie. I don't think I will ever rewatch it because I got all the depression that I could squeeze out of it, and it's fine. But that, and there are a couple of other takes that I really marveled at the technique behind it. However, they almost seem wasted in a movie that is one chunk in prison, where the biggest event is a fire, and then one chunk in a courtroom, where the biggest event is nothing. And then there is the explosion.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say, as a thing aside from our storytelling, Matteo has worked with the cinematographer on both Joker, the first one, and this one. Now, Matteo, make sure I'm not mispronouncing it. Lawrence Sher.
Lawrence Sher.
Lawrence Sher.
And I did work with him and not on Joker.
Not on Joker, but when they first got out here, he's an old buddy. I would like to say that I remember enjoying it in the first one, but in this movie, people talk about cinematography porn, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's gorgeous, and they'll be like, that doesn't facilitate for it. This movie, to me, is jaw-droppingly friggin' gorgeous. There's a couple shots, one with Harley, one with Joker, where they start off with the silhouette with the light behind them, and the crispiness. Lawrence did an amazing job. Independent of whatever the storytelling is, I could watch this thing on mute and just lube up. There are shots of them winding through the hallway, the highways at night. There are shots of the big cityscape, shots of the giant Arkham in the background. It looks amazingly slick, crisp, and gorgeous. I did not notice, because again, I can't knock it into the brain. I still go with the movie. I didn't notice the one shot, but I definitely was like, this looks amazing. It was also nice seeing it in IMAX. It's funny, I still don't have the enthralled zeal of something like A Clockwork Orange or, even the Godzilla Kong that I love. I'm still not like, oh my God, but I do think there's more to it than what is said when usually discussed. I wanted to ask your guys' opinion about the intro because...
Well, pause a second, tell quickly the story, the plot.
We now return to
MaJaMa. I've reluctantly decided that Mr. Fleck does have the right as an attorney to dress himself how he likes, as long as he doesn't cause disorder or interfere with the functioning of the court.
The plot.
Oh yeah, so the plot. So we return, picking up after the first movie. Arthur Fleck, our eponymous Joker, is in prison. And he is getting ready for a court. His lawyer, Catherine Keener, is trying to make the defense that he has, because of all the trauma he experienced in his life, he's split into two people. He's got another person inside of him, which is the Joker. Joker was the one doing it. He is in a actual prison. She wants to get him into an actual mental hospital with real doctors, get him the help he needs. And very quickly, he meets Lee, our Harley Quinn in this one. She's obsessed with him. She tells him she loves him, wants to get him out of there.
Can't we just call her Harley?
Again, yeah. There's lots of stuff to annoy the traditionalists in this. I get that. Harley and Joker both often break into song to express what they're feeling, leading up to a trial where eventually Joker breaks and is like, look, I don't want this lawyer. I'm going to defend myself as myself in clown paint. That goes on for a while until the courtroom is blown up.
Well, he's found guilty.
He's found guilty, right? Sorry. He's found guilty. It pretty much goes quick after he decides to defend himself. Found guilty. Courtroom is blown up. He escapes. Goes to see Harley. Says, oh my God, they blew it up now. Like we talked about this whole time, we can leave together. She says, what are you, crazy? All we have is the fantasy. You ruined that. I don't want you. We're not going anywhere. Walks away. And Arthur is then stabbed by a gentleman that wants to continue on the legacy of the Joker, laughing in the background and doing the lip schmear as...
No, actually, I think that he is cutting his...
Sorry, yes, cutting the cheeks. The heat. Actually, there was something about that. I think some people were saying Nolan said, don't do that, that's ours.
Nolan said in the first one, no, he forbade in Joker to have the cut of the cheek. But now he's no longer with Warner Brothers, so they could do it.
And yes, we all know how that turned out.
Okay. And then That's Life kicks in and the Joker story continues. So what... Go ahead.
Why did he have a microphone for his final word to the
to the jury?
The jury.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, again, I don't know if it's allowed. I think they do a decent job. It was the terror of my unenlightened ass with my novel when I got to the court part of being like, what would be allowed? I think they do a decent enough job of.
I mean, I can
that they allow
excuse
for this.
the judge being like, okay, you can wear clown makeup and everything like that because it's a movie, but I don't understand why he suddenly has a microphone.
Yeah, and the stool and.
Yeah, like they've been filming this entire time. Why would that be there? Why would he suddenly have it, other than to give him the image that he's on stage or performing stand up? Practically. And then it kind of with the fantasy segments almost kind of skews your perception of like what you accept in the reality.
Yeah.
Of the movie.
Well, when I saw this in the theater,
you saw this in the theater?
Did you?
Our intro. I just said that.
Oh.
Wait, this wasn't. Oh.
Wow. He must just be like, all right, idiot's doing his long rambling intro. He'll eventually turn to me and say, what did you think? He's talking. Oh yeah. So.
No,
yeah.
I thought you were saying like you had read enough about it, so it's kind of like you knew it.
No, I went and saw it in IMAX. I was like, it was shot for IMAX, so I was like, look, if you're gonna see it, go see it in IMAX.
Did you see it just one time?
I saw it one time in IMAX. I saw it one time with Alicia's. I saw
You
it one
saw
time
it
today.
twice?
3 times.
What?
Did you not? Are you messing with me or did you not listen to my whole intro?
It's a joke. It's a joke.
This guy's deadpan. I've known this dude longer and more consistently, spent more time than anyone on the planet. His deadpan still gets me to believe him.
Also, and a stupid thing, but I understand. No, I don't. It doesn't seem an IMAX movie. There is no
like what he's saying for the shots. Like yes, it's gorgeous, but
there was enough.
Not too much spectacle.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that, but I think there was more than you would think.
This one,
the giant. I think the Arkham Hotel dance scene. I do think the visuals are beautiful.
Too
sparse
and too few.
I get that. Sparse. They're also doing a lot of. They're also whether or not they're shot. I usually look for the shot for so that the screen adapts. But they do a lot of IMAX releases just simply because it's this week's movie. Sure. But the first thing we start with, which I would defend more than I would defend the rest of the movie, is an old-time Warner Brothers cartoon, like the ones where we have the Warren Beatty and the other celebrities around there, Bugs Bunny style. And right off the bat, it caught my attention like a massive fish hook in the cheek, and I was like, okay, you have my attention. What are you going to do here? How did you guys feel about our cartoon intro?
I like the fact that they use real posters in the background.
Classic WB
cartoon.
Posters?
Yes.
Why can't they ever get the animation to actually match old school 50s, 60s animation? Like, you're going for that. You have the money for it. You have the technology to replicate
you have the
it without
resources,
having actually,
and you can actually see it.
Yes, and you don't actually have to... I'm sure you don't have to actually do the old school hand-drawn animation process to make it look like
but
that.
But you can do the Betty Boop, Popeye. They had that very strange stance. They were never standing still. They were always kind of like bouncing, bobbing or something. And yes, they never get it.
I haven't done anything with my life like you have.
What did you think about it? To me, I thought it set the tone in an incredibly interesting way.
I like the idea of the shadow and the split personality paralleling that. It was...
I will grant you that while defending it, I feel like that intro is such a cool, unique choice that I'm like, that was the way to start a masterpiece. Like I said, I'm going to go to bat pretty hard for this thing, and I do enjoy it. I still don't have the full, oh my God, let's preach about it, but I think that intro sets the tone for what would be the masterpiece way to do Joker 2.
He's perfect.
There's something about that, especially even the way the Joker translates to the old Warner Brothers cartoon style. The Shadow is the one doing this stuff, and I catch it as we see in the movie. Joker says stuff, and then he gets violently assaulted by the guards, catching the flack for the actions of the Joker. I think it's a great way to start.
It's like the fact that in his fantasies there's always Pepe Le Pew on television, because he's the eternal lover who's never he never gets the love in return.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I feel like there is a vision at work here.
No, I don't understand how anyone could debate that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Fact,
yes.
Yeah.
It's simply, it's a case of misunderstanding from the
and
genre.
I think
it's the expectation versus what you actually get.
Yeah. And mismarketing.
Yes.
Well, like I said, you can. I'm sure if I read more about it, or people read about it, they'd be like, "Oh, wait, this is a musical." But like, the trailer gives you no inkling other than Actually, no, they don't even.
Not really, no.
Well, I think there's.
Like, that's something you gotta tell people, man.
Yeah.
Like, either don't do it, or don't hide it from your audience. You're just gonna inspire contempt the second they actually watch
There's
it.
been some talk about.
By who?
There's been some talk about Todd Phillips sticking it to the system. And when I had first seen it, I believe, before the repeat viewings, I was like, guys, the reason I'm so excited is because Freddy Got Fingered is notoriously a studio prank with a $14 million budget. An actual studio gives you it and you do that.
It's crazy! Listen to my hooves! Yeah! Listen to my hooves! Yeah! Listen to them cloppity clop! Listen to them cloppity clop!
You do literally the grimy public access Tom Green splatterfest gore surrealism art flick you want. And at first I was like, dude, this thing is like Freddy Got Fingered on steroids with the giant WB budget and how much money they threw at it. This level of contempt for the audience.
Sure.
I'm going to rescind that. And I say that because it's an interesting question to think if Todd Phillips was giving a deliberate middle finger to everyone and everything, gleefully being like, look, me and Joaquin ended up in this position. Oscar, $1 billion gross. You gave us carte blanche. I'm really going to be the rebel artist and stick it to you.
But that's why that's because he didn't want to do a sequel?
Well, I think he didn't want to do a sequel at first, but I was going to say that I actually take that back now because I guess I don't know how much Todd wanted to give a middle finger, but I think there's enough of an actual artful commentary on the Joker here, and to the other case that look similar to the eternal argument of Godzilla 98. Just take that Godzilla off the title. It's a pretty fun creature flick. A lot of people were like, okay, just take the name Joker off and it's a decent movie. I actually think that when we have one of the most iconic villains ever that's about a murderous, painted persona, again, I think this is a pretty great exploration of sensationalistic personalities, the type of thing that still goes on today, because do we not have the type of people we had at the Joker's courthouse for Luigi Mangione?
That's entertainment.
Is that not why Luigi was hotly debated? Is this not still going on? As you told me about my book, dude, it'll always at least be relevant. If you don't get it how you want it, that topic is always going to be relevant. So
Christmas Carol type story.
Yes, I rescind saying that it's a Freddy Got Fingered. I can't tell you what Mr. Phillips wanted to do. There was a lot of talk. I don't think he did want to do a second one.
I don't think either. I think that he actually specifically said this is a one-off.
So to be fair, then perhaps it is
like it should be then.
I'm gonna stick it to WB, who just wants more money for my vision. But again, I can't help but see a vision here.
It's always surprising when the powers that be don't stick their fingers in it enough to tear it apart and just start ripping at the seams with that much money and that much potential return.
You give $200 million for a movie, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I really didn't see them.
I was gonna say,
there's not a lot of spectacle for it to go into.
I think that maybe not half the budget, but a good chunk went into licensing the songs, which were definitely expensive. But if you tell me $200 million for it's kind of like the
but
even worse. I think $87 million for Grown Ups 2. That you watch and say,
it's got to be star budgets.
Why?
Salaries?
Yeah, it's only salaries and things like that. But Jurassic Park was $63 million, and you would see it. Every single penny was on the screen.
Well, I'll grant you there's a lot of weird stuff. I mean, it's not weird that Warner Brothers would be like, oh my God, we have $1 billion Joker movie. Joaquin got an Oscar, do it again.
Why, it sounds like a joke.
And if you say, like, I'm remembering now, yes, I think Todd was against it. It is kind of a cool, rebellious thing to be like, hey, well, I'm going to give you a Joker movie I want. And they bit in the ass for it. I would love to give a direct, just talk bluntly about how Todd feels about it and his intent. Sometimes I feel like you won't get that as blatant as we would like to hear. But I do think what's interesting is that Joaquin is so good, and the little bit of violence we get where he bashes the guy with the chair and then takes the big mallet and whomps the guy's head, done very effectively.
Harvey Dent really looks like Jared Kushner.
Yeah,
right.
He's very babyface. I mean, he looks slick, but he's very young looking. But the little bit of violence we do get, and the promise of the riots with the blood smear at the end of the first one on top of the cop car, I do think it's made a little more potent by a classic Heath-esque, full balls to the wall Joker destroying the city with Joaquin at the helm. is still something I would like to see independent of everything I'm saying. I think they can knock it out of the park. So I do think...
once again, take him out of the film entirely and make it about his effect on society. And just
that would be interesting too, but what I was going to say is that it's almost like the movie makes its point more by being like, I know you'd rather see him just with face paint and being bloody, but dude, it's a broken man. And I know that there's a large section of the population, as per the backlash, that's like, how could you be more pretentious? I work all week. I just wanted to see the Joker. I don't want to. But what about the broken man behind him? You people want.
Like I said, there's enough of that in the first Joker where I'm like, you can't go into this completely expecting something different, or being that surprised by or expecting your audience to be a different, tuning into a different kind of frequency for this film, because you had enough of that in the first one.
When I first saw Joker, when I saw you and Murray Franklin, the whole time I was watching, I kept thinking, I hope this guy blows his brains out.
We now return to
MaJaMa. Mr. Puddles. Gary Puddles? Tell me, sir, is that your God-given name?
Yes.
I'd like to highlight a rare moment, and one might say that's a problem with the Joker movie. I mean, Joker is, I don't know, I guess you'd say Mark Hamill's Joker is more ha-ha funny, or Cesar Romero, as opposed to the Spirit of Heath, which looms with, like you said, the Nolan effect, which will now last forever over this type of stuff. But one part I did find hilarious, almost of a completely different vibe, is when he's interviewing Gary Puddles, and he's like,
You expect us to believe that your last name is Puddles? Puddles?
Mr. Fleck, where is this going?
And then he goes through all this, and then he goes back, and on the legal pad in all caps with exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, is Puddles? And he just rubs it out like, damn, that was my big angle. Like, how could that not be a pseudonym? I thought that was very funny.
Might I remind you that you were under oath?
Also with that scene, if I had to make my biggest argument for the power of this movie, the scene with Gary Puddles, where he is at the height of screw off, I'm going to be the Southern lawyer, I'm making a mockery of this, I'm full Joker, I give the people what they want. And then Gary, who plays it, the actor plays it heartbreakingly, is like, dude.
I couldn't go back to work. I still can't sleep. And I'm scared all the time. I never used to be scared. I'm scared right now here. It's you in front of me.
I'm afraid all the time. And then he's like,
do you know what that feels like, Arthur? You were the only one at work who never made fun of me. You were the only one that was nice to me.
And I think Joaquin plays it beautifully of like, okay, persona's on, okay, oh my God. Oh, he's a nice guy. I hurt his feelings. Oh, yeah, well, you're tugging out my heartstrings. I think that, to me, is the best working part for what Todd may have wanted to do.
Definitely.
Gary really just does seem broken, and I think it really penetrates through to the nice schlep that Arthur was, just nicely poking through, like I says, at the height of his persona. I really feel bad for Gary, and I really feel Joaquin sells it of like, something's breaking in me. This is not me. And I think, in fact, after that, the next is when we get the there is no Joker, it's me. That's also when I think it's like, you're laughing at me for being a pathetic joke because my mom made fun of me and abused me? Okay, no more. The Joker is me. Okay, the Joker is me. You love me, right?
There is no Joker. It's just me.
So I do think there's moments, I won't say...
What initially riled him up in the first film.
Yes. I think there's moments that really connect. Like I said, I am not fully charging ahead with like masterpiece. I'm not going to say the whole thing crackles, but there are moments where I feel like, no, in those moments you achieved what I think you really wanted to achieve.
It took 2 hours and a half, but yes.
Arthur believes he has all of these supporters, but they don't care about him. They care about Joker.
Also, someone said this, and then I chewed on it because, of course, Lady Gaga can belt out tunes, and I imagine Joaquin is such a goddamn good, committed actor that he can sing pretty well, too. Someone said they sing like they're normal people singing, like they're just their characters singing. And I was like, you know what? I actually appreciate that stylistically. Mateo, you used the term on the nose, which was interesting because, follow-up questions for you. You used the term on the nose with the lyrics. It's interesting this time because I was like, wow.
Wow!
I really like, and I suppose you could say perhaps a little literal, but I really like how the things that come out, like for instance, hey, Arthur, you hear that on the TV, they say they're going to fry you. How does that make you feel?
For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
It just seems like, you know what, dude, I don't care. Someone finally friggin' loves me. This whole place can taunt me and say they're going to die and laugh at me, but Jesus Christ, I just found someone I actually love. This time, again, 3 times in, I was a little more aware of it. Again, perhaps a little...
I would have liked more an approach like they did in, I think it's Moulin Rouge, that they use established song, but they change the lyrics to fit more with the story.
Okay.
So, if it would have put his personality or her personality into the song instead of just like doing it verbatim as they were, which is also what. Once again, if you say real people singing, you would do that. If you're singing a song and all of a sudden it fits your situation or something, you change the lyrics on the spot.
I know just like that.
And it didn't happen.
So the big question is, this one hates musicals. How much of a deterrent was that for you?
Huge, absolutely.
Every time it came up, it was like, shoot me?
Massive, yes.
But is that musicals in general as opposed to specifically Joker 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also...
you see why it was used? Or you...
sure.
Or you see at least, okay, I can at least see
I'm not
why...
sure why they done that, as this is what we need for Joker 2. I get why they use it and how they used it, but I don't... No, I get how they used it, I don't get why they used it. But also, same thing I was saying before, that I don't think it deserves the hate, is when I heard so many people being like, oh my god, it's like 90% singing and so many musicals.
Not at all.
I'm like, no, that's not true.
You would know.
It's a hell
he would know.
Of a lot.
I think that they sing 13 times. I think I read somewhere.
Oh,
and plus there is almost as many original songs, like Sinatra and that they creep in.
I don't know. To me, they also the opening old school cartoon, the Sinatra type songs of That's Life, classic fedora and smoking thing. I thought the Warner Brothers, the ones that are producing it, Warner Brothers to me always has kind of a elevated classic, like this is classic Hollywood more so than other studios. I kind of like the old Frank fedora and smoking. Actually, Mr. John Waters, who again spoke out as saying the movie was great, said, "Oh my God, so much smoking." There is a lot of smoking,
yes.
And I can never deny that. It's so cinematic and cool. I will never deny that it looks so good on even on a base level. Like, what are these girls in bikinis jumping on like a base dumb level? Just put a cigarette and we're smoking in the movie.
The scene that actually made me more uncomfortable is when he drags from a cigarette and then blows the smoke into her mouth. And I was seeing that and I say, okay, that's if you ever want to kill me, that's a good way.
Oh. And then, look, you out of the 3 of us probably have the most knowledge about Harley. What did you think about, which again, I know is another thing where people are frothing at the mouth, like, why would you do that? But what did you think about the covert mission? Like, I'm just a spoiled rich girl, I have a good life, but I'm obsessed with you, and I lied to get in here with you, and then now that you're not the face paint, I'm completely, who gives a crap?
I mean, at this point, with Joker being so different, just do their own thing.
Stolen by Fight Club.
For Harley.
Babies don't sleep this well. I became addicted.
Stolen from my novel.
From Fight Club.
That's Celia.
Yes, it's very similar.
Right? This is not. I know they won't know, but like this is like, that's why I think I took to it more. This is my friggin' novel, dude.
And I like that idea. The cult member who wants to infiltrate and get close to the guy. I like the idea of like, if I wrote to you, what would I have said? Why would my letter have stuck out to you if I was just honest with you? I wanted to pretend to be someone, to meet someone I looked up to and who I idolized.
You could have just wrote me a letter.
And said what? I'm nobody.
So I like the angle of her character.
It's also a nice little, again, Joaquin is always great when they're right before they make love, I think it is. And
make love?
Well... Right before she pulls him into awkwardly doing 5 pumps and a dump inside of her, probably the best moment of his life. When she pulls out the makeup. The short sex was great. Right before when she pulls out the makeup, he does like a little.
You probably.
And it's not necessarily. I think if it was later in the storyline, it would have been hurt. But there's a little bit of like, He brought almost like a little amused, a little bit like you did that. But I love the way he delivered it. Again, I've seen it a couple times. But the way he's like, you brought makeup? That's weird. You would want me to put that on? Okay, I guess. But
you brought a paper bag for my head?
I think I don't know. The second time I saw it last time, what really got to me is how much I could tell that he has found salvation after a life of darkness and no love in Lee.
Well, I think it's cool because it's the classic superhero thing of Lois Lane. Is she more in love with Superman or is she more in love with Clark Kent, and Batman, and whoever else you want to talk about too?
Dr. Chase Meridian.
What is it about the wrong kind of man? In grade school, it was guys with earrings. College, motorcycles, leather jackets. Now,
yeah,
the wrong guy.
Yeah,
always attracted to the wrong guy.
Black rubber.
Try fireman, less to take off.
So yeah, my heart broke when he goes up to her on the steps and is so like, look, we can go. And she's like, you took away the fantasy. There's nothing. And again, the same like fantasy escaping through entertainment. I probably get a lot of leeway and free pass to this by being so in the wheelhouse of, you know.
But I like all that, and I think if you were to do a sequel in this kind of world and tone, that's a natural progression of you're going to break down your character and either expose him as a psychopath or as someone who was putting on a front or who just got to the end of his rope, snapped, and is kind of still reeling from that, but realizing, okay, maybe I'm not that person.
Which again is what happened in my character. This is my friggin' novel. So again, I take with
whose fault is that?
Take with a grain of salt that these themes are very resonant to me. It's like, I don't know, if it was zeroing in on the paranormal, whatever you weirdos like with your ghost obsession.
Speaking of which,
yes,
there's a ghost. Is the place haunted?
Is the second half of the movie only in his dreams? Because he gets shot by Lady Gaga, exactly where he gets killed. So, thusly saying that he made love with that guy with the shank.
It was me the whole time, buddy. Oh no! All right.
We now return to
MaJaMa.
Hey, Arthur! Arthur! I mean, you'll do anything. The guard said you wanted to show me how to kiss. But they said Joker's a really good kisser.
Also, again, little things I'm picking up to add to what I think is a pretty decent movie. Hey, Arthur, the guard said you were going to give me a kiss. They said you're a good kisser. The way Joaquin plays that is very tender.
Yeah.
And very like, you know what, I am, and I'm going to grant you an image of mercy. So, again, Todd Phillips is hotly debated. I know a lot of people roll their eyes at him being an artist and having something to say. I myself, like I said, went back and forth with Joker, but the combination of him and Joaquin, the visual of Larry, it's kind of funny how there's almost a part of me in a shallow way like, this is too big budget to suck. Look at the songs license. Look at the talent on there. Look at the direction.
That's exactly what they say about the Lone Ranger.
Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, but the Lone Ranger
the
is
same
probably...
thing that they say about John Carter of Mars. No, actually John Carter.
You let me know when it gets dangerous.
John's farting in bars?
Man, Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor Kish.
Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor Kish.
Yeah, his career went slightly down.
He had such a shot, though.
We'll discuss that on the upcoming John Carter episode, The Summer of Taylor.
Yeah, Battleship.
That one.
John Carter
Savages,
Mars.
which granted is lower, but still, it's like you got three.
Him playing Gambit and Wolverine, one of the Wolverines.
Big budget Disney movie.
Just weird. Just
big
Snakes on the plane. No.
Big budget based on a board game. Buzzy little indie movie.
Like you can see the Hollywood machine behind him with a broomstick pushing him on stage, but just didn't.
Nothing happened.
Catch. I don't know why.
Why, it sounds like a joke.
Luck, I guess.
Or no luck. I mean.
Or yeah, I mean yes.
I mean, for some reason, someone was making a push to get that kid famous, for whatever reason, but it just didn't work out.
He was a bad actor.
Oh well.
So, what did you guys think of Gaga overall? I feel like she's kind of had highs and lows as far as the acting side of her career. I dig her.
I like her.
Yeah, I think she's
very natural. She's a fresh presence. I like. She is fearless, as in she consciously made a choice not to be the spectacular vamp or
Yes.
something. She's a very, 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 let's say, for lack of better words, plain lady.
Yeah.
And it was beautifully.
I like that.
because-
Yeah, I like that choice of how she.
Yes, and she shines. She has an intensity that is.
Plus, she seems suitable for Arthur. Where
Yes.
Their personalities would mesh. That they're almost both, not maybe not reserved, but just kind of mild.
Yeah, to use probably not the most elegant or gentle adjective, but she is plausible.
Yeah.
For the whole story, she's not. Even if she is one of the greatest divas, if not probably her and Beyonce and Taylor Swift are the greatest divas that we have now, in terms of that everybody knows on any level of age. But she's not afraid of appearing plain. Let's say just like and I think that with that, she shines completely. She's committed.
I also really liked Brendan Gleeson.
I got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow.
Brendan Gleeson, I liked.
And Steve Coogan.
Yes.
Your last joke, if we can call it a joke. You get what you bleeping deserve. That's what you said.
I feel like, and you guys, from what you say, seem to be echoing it. Granted, I feel like I liked it a little more than you guys did, but I feel like there's now two conversations. It's one,
Singular sensation.
what is your response to the absolute tidal wave of hate in the Razzie nominations? Again, I want to do this to coincide
That
with the
I don't
Razzie.
completely.
Right. So you guys agree with me there. So, but it's almost like you have to
What are
segregate.
What are the nomination categories?
So there's 7. I think best, and this is why best worst movie, worst sequel, worst actor, worst director, and I'm like,
that's where I'm like,
have you seen an Enzo Sorrentino? I'm sorry,
it's,
we love
I
you, buddy.
mean, the classic argument of you guys don't know what bad movies
No,
are.
the public really does not know what bad movies. The public does not know.
But unless you're going to put Razzie films in a different category where it's massive, big budget Hollywood flops versus.
No, but whereas Can't Stop the Music, you understand why it was nominated for the Razzie.
Yeah, or
Catwoman. Or Catwoman, yes, because the movies are all over the place.
Catwoman was rough.
This
Skin
one,
like marble.
This one is more like, and this would be a huge discussion, and which we don't have time now. But when they say, "Oh, Oscar's so white" or "Oscar too white" in general, but I say, "Okay, I understand that, but are the Oscars to celebrate excellency in acting or producing or whatever?" Or they have to have a quota of every single race in order to be fairly balanced? Because
quota, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's go with the pie graph.
Yeah.
Asians looking low.
Because in both cases,
Lucy Liu do anything this year?
Is not so much the Oscars' fault, is Hollywood's fault that doesn't put prominent roles to different ethnicities, different age, race group, and whatever. But when
you know who's solving that problem? Kevin Feige.
When all the
Black Panther is pushing for every type of race to get their shine. They hate it.
Whenever you have to do, we have to nominate these people, but they're too good, or we have to have another one who is maybe less good or doesn't have a role. And this is a Hollywood problem. And then it's a.
Oscars have their own.
Yeah,
problems too.
It's a snake that is eating.
Yeah.
Is there because Hollywood could give parts as they should since forever.
Maybe we should have awards for art. You know?
Yeah.
That's actually again, like I said, that'd be a big topic, but that's a great topic unto itself.
Prince Habibi. Habibu. Prince Habibu.
So what I was saying is, it feels like you almost have to compartmentalize two discussions. One,
I was wondering what you were saying.
How do you guys feel?
Thank God you remembered. We went back to it
about it, as opposed to the massive wave of backlash. And then how do you feel about it as a movie? Feels like you guys actually are in complete agreement about what I was saying. It was like, where do you get this like worst movie, flame out, terrible, nothing there?
Where did you get that impression?
Versus what you think about it as a movie.
That's because people were expecting Joker 2 and they got something different and say,
but if you take out the musical parts, of it, like it's still.
It would be.
It's so close to Joker. What Joker was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I don't see the existence, the reason of an existence, the justification of an existence, because it doesn't really advance much anything.
Or again, I feel like I haven't seen the first one in a while.
If you took the ending where he's like, I'm not actually Joker, I'm Arthur. If you tack that on to the end of Joker 1, give an extra 15 minutes and give a little bit courtroom drama to that, I think that would work perfectly.
Yeah.
And would sell a great theme and idea. You don't need to stretch out for a second movie, and tell people what they're going to go.
Yeah, that's
watch. Like,
unforgivable.
how could you not expect people to revolt after that?
Well,
maybe just purely out of spite. Maybe it's just out of spite.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There is another conversation of what Todd wanted to do and if this was a giant middle finger or not. But if you guys don't have anything else you'd like to highlight, I will end before we vote with a question of, I think time is going to be incredibly kind to this movie, and it is going to find a rabid cult audience despite the hate, and will be viewed massively differently. And it'll be one of those cases where you're like, did you know that when Mick was on the show, I genuinely had no idea how The Shining was received by critics when it came out. That was one of the best moments in Jams. Well, I was enlightened by that.
What I want to know is if the cult of Joker, how they feel about Joker 2.
They despise it.
The fanboys who were crazy all about Joker, they
hate it more than you could ever imagine.
Really?
Yes, Your Majesty.
No, dude, people that like Joker hate this movie.
What would you expect from a Joker sequel?
Hate this movie. They hate it so much.
It has the
you know what they expect?
The same beats. That's okay. That happens 4 or 5 times in the Joker. It's not like he's going on
in fairness, there's
inspiring killing in the streets.
There's more. Again, it's interesting because I waffled on Joker, and I give Todd credit for that. I give Todd credit for both of these in the end because I feel like they're not, at least to me, easily dismissible. Obviously, to the public they are, not the first one. But I think there's enough of the bloodlust in the first one that you get satiated. I mean, look, dude, $1 billion in Oscar nomination speaks volumes. But again, I think another potent aspect is Joaquin is so good that I find myself wanting to see him at full traditional Heath, if you will. And the cock tease of not doing that, to me, and probably only to weirdos like me, plays into the idea of you don't care about this schmo who's been broken his whole life. You're saying, shut up, put the face paint on and kill. The fact that the movie knows you want to see Joaquin just smear on the paint and go blood crazy kind of, to me, ties into the concept of you don't care about this guy that's broken. You could literally not give a F about his backstory, about who he is, about his pain. Would you please have him smear on the paint and just kill? That's what we're here for.
That's Joker 1.
You're not wrong, but I don't know.
I mean, of course, it could be sequelitis where, like, okay, we got past all that stuff, so now in Joker 2, he's just going to be full face paint. He's going to be a clown prince of crime running Gotham. Okay, oh my God, what is this?
I do think had you leaned into full Dark Knight and done what the ending of the first one with the rioting on the cop car, great scene by the way, I think if you delivered a full-on bloodlust, that you may have hit $1 billion again. The Joker fanboys are very passionate. DC is one of the giant comic things, follow up to $1 billion hit. Had you doubled down on that, I think you might have seen similar growth, as at least better ones. Damn, I wish I
don't get it.
Really?
I don't get the
idea of also making a sequel. If you make a movie and you say this is the end, just do another one.
I don't get the hate.
Do Harley Quinn.
You don't get the hate from Joker fans?
I don't understand it. It seems...
Dude, Joker fans are idiots. They're a bunch of frigging moronic frigging two brain cell fucking Walmarts.
It just seems so close to Joker 1.
I'm half kidding. No, honestly, it's hey, we all want a big juicy cheeseburger. Here's an Impossible Burger with arugula on the side. That's what sums up to me. Personal opinion.
There is no Joker. That's what you said, isn't it?
Let's express these complex feelings by throwing these yellow pieces of paper. I will start with 1, 2, because it is flawed. I'm hearing the haters. I'm hearing what you guys are saying, but I think there's a master vision at work here, a lot of talent, and resonant themes to me. Very resonant themes to me.
I go with 3 because mostly is pointless, but at least is not Halloween Ends.
Richard Roper.
Voting the same exact way. I think I even put it a little bit higher because it's such a dark horse, and I don't think it deserves that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, the
touch my weirdo heart.
The whole the thing of hating and everything is clearly blown out of proportion. But then again, it's the same people who go see a movie, go see a sequel, expecting to see the same thing, but different. But then when you give them something different, they are up in arms because
The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
MaJaMa.
Well, guys, this was exactly the discussion I was hoping for. I always enjoy sitting here with my brothers and discussing stuff. This was wonderful. I really hope this time around you guys have some comments and some opinions. Drop them below. If you didn't like this, if you did, just engage with us. Come on, this is a hot topic. I know one of you has something to say. Drop those comments below. Drop a like, drop a share, discuss it, hate us, say we're idiots, agree, disagree. But one thing this was, undeniably, from this paper-filled couch to yours, was a jam!
I think you should lose the tongue click.
Probably.
Kind of gay.
MaJaMa.
I've killed a white shark. Let me tell you, it was no walk in the park. Now another shark has come, which I didn't foresee. So I'll probably retire and move to Tennessee.
It can wipe you away like a flash flood. I can't believe I'm one more time in a space where a monster is about to melt my face.
My name is Michael Myers. I'm a killer who never tires. I hide in a house or down the road, because I want to butcher Laurie Strode. I'm a monster, I know I'm not pretty. I need a bride to cook me spaghetti. Is it too much to ask in this house? I'm kinda horny, I need a spouse.